Hi everybody, it's Marcy, and today in my journal making marathon, I'm working with unused envelopes. And here I've got just this little note card envelope that I'm going to work with. And the first thing I'm going to do, I've got some fall stamps, and I'm going to ink this up. I'm still using my coffee archival ink. I like it because it's not as stark as the black. So there we've got some pumpkins, and looks like a pear, and I don't know what that is, a gourd maybe? Not sure what that is. A little bit of greenery. Okay. So that's on the flap. Now I'm going to flip this over, and I cut, this is some leftover paper from the calico collage. I had miscut an entire journal's worth of digital pages, so I cut them up to use on here. And I am going to glue this onto the back side, because I'm going to slice here to make a side pocket. And I cut that a little wide. Oh well. So I don't need this to be open, but I also don't want to glue this down to this because I'll be sliding a card in there. Okay. So, and while I'm doing this, I'm going to tell you what I finally figured out and wish I'd thought of sooner. When I took a moment to think about it, thinking about making $15 of these embellishments for each of the journals I'm getting away. That's going to make these journals pretty chunky, given that there's only 12 sheets of paper folded in half, so 24 sheets of paper to hold 22 elements. So what I'm doing is I am going to, starting with this one, I'm making half and half. So like in this one, I'll be making, I believe well, no, this one isn't quite half and half, because I have 10 of these envelopes. And I'll need one for my journal, and although I guess in reality I wouldn't have to make a my journal. Anyway, I'm going to do about half and half. And some of them I may not have enough. Like this one, I've got more than enough envelopes for half, and I want to use them all because that'll be something finished and used up. Okay, now I'm going to come in under this side and glue down just right along the edge here to glue this flap down. Okay. So after the glue dries and I get the front done, then I will slice this. Okay, so for my front, what I'm going to do, I've got this section of napkin, and this napkin, the total napkin had 6 panels, so I ended up using 1.5 of the napkins to make the panels for these. And I thought that would be good on this side of the envelope. I'm going to go ahead and trim this down just a bit because I don't want it to get in the way when I'm gluing my napkin. Okay. So, and just for ease, I'm just going to grab my Tombow Mono. And add glue. Doing it this way, I will not have any glue over the top of it like I would if I were using Mod Podge, but that's fine. Okay, and I'm going to use my little silicone paddle here to spread the glue out to be sure I've got my edges. This is always the part I hate. And get it down on there. Now, if I'd been smart, I would have grabbed a piece of acetate. I don't have any right here around me. But you can use the acetate and lay it down and then rub on that without risking tearing your napkin, where I'm having to pat very gently. And as much as I do napkin decoupage, I really need to keep a piece of acetate right here with me for doing that. Okay, so now I have to set this aside and let it dry. When it's done, I will cut off the excess napkin and then, like I said, trim this edge to open it up. And here's one that I finished. And after I trimmed this edge to open it up, I used my hole punch. And then the envelope came with these note cards. They're blank inside. And I'm just going to take the note card and slide it right in. And then on the journal, it will go on like that. And when I attach it, I will attach it, I'll put a tiny strip of glue here and down the center and make 2 tucks. Basically, I'm doing Dear Julie Julie's, I don't remember what, double tuck envelope, double tuck envelope ensemble. I can't remember exactly what she calls it, but that's what I'm going to do with that. Okay, so for my tag, pretty much I'm copying what Julie did, well, similar to what Julie did on her video for envelopes. I thought the idea was kind of neat. So I printed this out from Calico Collage, Simply Autumn, I believe it was. This was just one of the background sheets. And on this side, using my own software, I just created some lines to have some writing space. So for this one, every one of these, I don't know if the lines on my paper are a little bit off, or if my fold is actually a little bit off. You know, if the printer pulled the paper not quite straight, the lines could be off a little bit, but when you've got a pocket going there, this will end up being a pocket. But what I'm going to do here is, first, sorry, my thought process. Before I put the napkin on this one, I'm going to glue down or do a little bit of stamping to go ahead and have that done. So here I've got some wheat stalks, and I'm just going to stamp that right on this inside flap, just for a little decoration on the inside. Just like that. And this will close like this. And so right here across the center, I'm going to stamp this big sunflower. Like that. Okay. Then flip this back over, cover up my ink, and on this one I'm going to use one of these pickup truck pieces of napkin. Got a fly flying around. And for this one, since it's a smaller piece, I'm just going to use my stick glue. And when I use my stick glue for this, I try to make sure there's plenty of glue. And put that little piece down. And the only reason I'm using these glues is because the process, I actually prefer using my Mod Podge and taking the time to do it that way. But in this case, I'm trying to do so many of them, and the Mod Podge does require a little more work because I have to go in and sand afterwards, where these glues will, once they're dry, they're not tacky at all. Okay. So that is that. So then, really hesitate to do this. Let's have this plastic baggie here. I don't want the glue to stick to this paper, so that's why I put that down. Okay, so here I'm going to run a bead of glue there and there. And by the way, these envelopes I cut from my punch board, and I should have, basically it's just a larger version of a coin envelope. I just didn't glue them together so I could make the tag out of it. So I'm taking the bottom flap, and instead of having it on the outside, I'm gluing it to the inside to make a little pocket. Then that will fold like that, and that will fold like that. That will come down. This will be the front of the tag, but then when you open it up, you've got a lot of writing space, and I will at some point make a little piece of something to go, a little piece of ephemera to go right in there. But for now, okay, I can have it facing over this way. I've got some ribbon here. And I'm just doing this to find center. And I'm going to put some glue down on this flap to hold my ribbon, and try to get that roughly centered. And I am leaving a little bit of the border of the paper just because that's my preference. And then when this is all dry and that's dry, I can fold that down and tie it into a bow. So then that becomes my tag. And there's the back. I did go ahead and put an eyelet in it just for something a little, to have a little extra something there. You certainly don't need to. That was just something I thought I would do. But then that becomes the tag. And when you unwrap it, flip the lid, you've got writing space with a little pocket for ephemera. So those are my unused envelopes for the challenge. And I've got those, except for the two that I just did that are drying. Those are completely done and ready. And I think the next thing I need to do is sit down. I may actually need to start adding some of the ephemera or some of the items to these journals and see, kind of narrow down, okay, what else do I want for these journals that I can fit into the categories? But I'll take a little time to get that figured out. And until next time, please be safe, stay healthy, happy crafting, and I will talk to you very soon. Bye-bye, everyone.